I'm just going to be short. I'm sure we are here to support President Zuma. Abantu, they want to finish the African National Congress. They want to disband every branch. They want to disband and remove comrades. When they disband you as a branch, you must still be a branch. When they expel you, you must still be a member of the ANC. You must not go anywhere. When they disband a regime, you must still remain a branch in the regime because you were elected. They can deal with Comrade Zuma. They must not intimidate you, because the intention is to intimidate you. And tomorrow we are going to work with DA, the enemy of our revolution. Comrades, today you must take a vow, wherever you come from, whether you are 20 in your branch or you are 1, you must stand up for the truth. Udalim Ofu is not ANC. In the underground. They don't know that history because they join now. It doesn't mean if you are a member of the National Executive Committee, you understand the ANC. Because anybody because we don't elect leadership because you have money. The ANC, they are trying to change it because it's the ANC. Nina comrades of KZN. Support Makashule Freestyle, I penny Commander-in-Chief tell us what to do. Yesterday we had a wonderful political discussion of President Zuma, and he told us that we must remain disciplined. We must never leave the ANC. Nobody must push us out. Ungaba a member of Amabuto. You are a member of the ANC. Akekho umuntu omnyama ngayazi African National Congress. From the 30s. Fanele siye khona. Mina ngihlangana nabonke abafundisi. Ngithulile ngiyakuba ngiyobatshela ukuthi mfundisi ngiyafuna umthandazo. Yezwa ukuthi bazazidiscipline abasicharge benzeni because they want to end and finish the ANC. Ungathuswi comrade. Please remain resolute. Today you must tell them we are a branch. When they take you out of parliament, you must remain and say, I am not going anywhere. When we talk one day, you must listen to us, because we shall have consulted each and every branch in the country. We are ballet. We are ballet. We are ballet. We are ballet.
Ucomrade Sithwale usize kakhulu bawumsholozi amaphoyisa esemile lapha ethi akudlula umuntu. Manje ngiyamcela benocomrade uNtando ngoba ibona abasize ngemotorcade ebesuka eThekwini. Bake bamisa ufreeway laphana kwama hours impela. Baningi abangafikanga la beyakhona. Kodwa kunendlela ukuthi mhlambe bamchazele ukuthi kumele niqhube kanjani ukuze ningaphinde nihlangane nale nkinga. Kodwa kahle nizobe ngekho. Ngizocela ukuthi bazosinika icommand ukuthi uma ngabe sesihamba. Kodwa ngifuna ukusho la
Well, there you have it. On stage was the suspended Secretary-General of the ANC, Ace Magashule, speaking to the supporters of the former president here who have gathered since the early hours of the morning. But it was interesting, if I may just bring in my colleague Samkele Maseko to basically unpack former President Jacob Zuma's speech today to his supporters. Earlier on, when we spoke to Ayanda, she suggested that the former president may advise his supporters to adhere to COVID-19 regulations. What do you make of his speech?
The former president was never going to speak about COVID-19 regulations, particularly knowing that he yesterday was not wearing a mask himself and was not observing any social distancing, flagged by Ubabum Kilichi of Amabutu, Nduna Yamabutu. They were even in his crowd. Even in his speech, he was contradicting himself, contrary to the papers that he filed at the Constitutional Court, looking for that rescission of the decision for a 15-month imprisonment term that has been slapped by the Constitutional Court, continuing with his bashing of the judiciary, going on to reference that the Deputy Chief Justice, Raymond Zondo, still is a person he will not go and speak to at the State Capture Commission of Inquiry, and maintains that even when the Constitutional Court ruled that he must go to the State Capture Commission of Inquiry and answer all questions, he said he's not even going to go to the Constitutional Court anymore. It's rather surprising that the former president speaks of his ill health, yet he was belting out a number here of one of his signature tunes that Umshini Wami and Yinde Lendlela, those are his signature tunes, and he belted Umshini Wami here once again, and he looks pretty much in good health as opposed to what is written in the court papers. He also speaks about how he left the State Capture Commission of Inquiry as he was going to take his medication. None of that coming out here in his speech to his members, which may come back to haunt him in this Constitutional Court hearing that will take place on the 12th of July. As one would assume, the senior counsel for the State Capture Commission of Inquiry, who's evidently the one who led the charge in getting that imprisonment term for the former president, Advocate Thembeka Ngcukaitobi, may be sitting at home taking down notes from what the former president is saying here, which is contrary to what is in his papers.
Maseko, does he have a point though, the former president, when he talks about the issue of the acting Chief Justice now, Judge Raymond Zondo, not wanting to recuse himself?
It's a question many people ask themselves. For instance, if you go to the Seriti Commission on the arms deal, it was Judge Seriti, former Judge Seriti, whom was chairing that particular commission. You go to the Marikana Commission, the Farlam Commission, it was Farlam chairing that particular commission. They never recused themselves. Then law experts and people who are well scholared within that particular perspective said, once Deputy Chief Justice Raymond Zondo recuses himself and another person comes in and chairs that particular segment of the former president's testimony in the commission, that would lead to a loophole of the commission being contested legally in a court of law. And then those were the legal battles that many people were frying with. He may have a point. I'm no law expert, but that was the view of some law experts at the time. But the former president seems that he's very defiant and will not go to the State Capture Commission of Inquiry if Deputy Chief Justice Raymond Zondo is still the chairperson of that particular commission. But the conundrum now becomes, the former president still says that he holds a view that he will not go to the Constitutional Court at the time when they had that judgment that he must be compelled to answer all questions. He says he then took a decision that he won't go to the Constitutional Court. One wonders what made the about turn now for him to go to the very same judges that he said he would not go to. He is the very same man on various platforms campaigning for the African National Congress has said that you can't scare him with jail. He was in jail for 10 years. He was in court when the apartheid regime was in charge of the Republic of South Africa. Even when a democratic dispensation wants to hurl him in front of the courts, he will go. And if they sentence him to a jail term, he will go and he will come back still as the Zuma that he is. But today, he's filing court papers, going against those very same words.
Maseko, when the former president spoke about the formation now of the State Capture Commission, I got a sense that even when he was forced to, even when he formed this commission, in his view, he was forced to do it. So he's not going to abide by any, instructions of this commission because he believes that it was concocted somewhere in order for him, to be made to be the bad guy, so to speak. Is that the same sense that you got?
We must not kid ourselves here. The ANC as a whole never wanted the State Capture Commission of Inquiry, particularly this faction of the radical economic transformation. It was an application by the economic freedom fighters that through the assistance, joining onto a court bid of the then public protector, Advocate Thuli Madonsela, that a constitutional court then ruled that a State Capture Commission of Inquiry must be formed to look into these merits. The dominant faction in the ANC at the time assisted the former president in what Oprima Shikli, a political analyst, said in the erosion of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, in the criticism of the judiciary. So the ANC, as Oprima Shikli says, the less said about them, the better, because they were part and parcel of degrading of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa. And there are those who see the reformists within the ANC the ANC led by President Cyril Ramaphosa, whom are the ones who were pushing for a state capture commission of inquiry, particularly individuals like Pravin Gordhan, like Bheki Cele, who are saying there must be a commission of inquiry to look into the allegations of state capture. If we would remember, it was Ronald Lamula, then outside of the structures of the ANC, who stood alongside the likes of Zwelinzima Mavavi at the Constitutional Court, demanding for the president of the country, then Jacob Zuma, to be held accountable, advocating for a state capture commission of inquiry to be instituted. Even when the top brass leadership of the ANC went to the State Capture Commission of Inquiry when the president of the ANC now, Cyril Ramaphosa, was appearing, you did not see any leaders of the ANC aligned to the radical economic transformation faction in that delegation of the African National Congress led by Jeff Radebe, by Paul Mashatile, the Treasurer-General, by Nkandla, who is the head of communications for the ANC, going by Andris Nel, who now works for the ANC at Lutuli House, going to that State Capture Commission of Inquiry with Jesse Duarte there as well, and Gwede Mantashe, the national chairperson. So it essentially tells you that the ANC has pretty much been divided on this issue. The former president also taking jabs at Intogas, whom Ebugekayo in isiZulu, whom he speaks about Advocate Thuli Madonsela, saying Thuli Madonsela was instrumental in the formation of the State Capture Commission of Inquiry, going further to say that when Deputy Chief Justice Raymond Zondo came to him with the name of Judge Desai in the Western Cape the following day, Mukhweng, the Chief Justice, came barging into his office to say that Judge Desai is not okay, but here's the name, Deputy Chief Justice Raymond Zondo. Then he says he knew then that there was something wrong with the State Capture Commission of Inquiry, and he is of the view that his powers as the president were usurped from him by the Constitutional Court, by Mukhweng, in the form that you could not appoint the chairperson of the State Capture Commission of Inquiry, which is investigating the very same government that was led by former President Jacob Zuma. So now begs the question, does the Deputy Chief Justice, who is now the Acting Chief Justice, Raymond Zondo, recuse himself once this application of former President Zuma goes to the Constitutional Court of the rescission? Or does he stay there? He's also a complainant in this matter on the virtue that he chairs the State Capture Commission of Inquiry, and they are responding affidavit papers by the 6th this week to oppose the application of a rescission by former President Jacob Zuma. So we will see a lot of legal wranglings and legal interpretations varying within this week. Just 2 days ago, or yesterday if I'm not mistaken, Advocate Thuli Madonsela said that the rescission application by the former president does not mean he still does not have to appear or go to a correctional services facility tonight. In that podium, he thanked Advocate Dalimpofu in saying, it is because of this man that today I will be sleeping at home and not in prison. But then you've got Lawson Naidu, no love lost between them as Kesek and the former president. He's got a different interpretation, that it means that the former president still has to report to a correctional services facility this evening to be incarcerated. He even joked by saying that the police, when they had come to arrest him, these thousands of people gathered here outside Nkandla, disregarding COVID-19 regulations, would have been the first defense line for the former president. And if they finally got to him, going towards the Westville Correctional Services facility, meaning they would be slugging it out, fist fighting in that van going towards prison, basically saying he was going to be defiant until the very end.
Maseko, it's going to be very interesting indeed to, observe the situation as it continues to unfold here in Nkandla, outside former President Jacob Zuma's home. As you can see behind me in your visuals there at home, the thousands that have come here to gather are now beginning to disperse. Some of them are wanting now to leave this place and go home after being addressed by the former president. Perhaps let's further engage each other, Samkele, about what can be expected now going forward.
What we essentially saw today was a defiant suspended Secretary-General of the ANC. It was of a person who was saying, if they disband you, remain as a branch. If they expel you, remain as an ANC member, effectively forming parallel structures of the ANC, which would effectively mean if you disband Mzala Nxumalo region in formerly known as Abaqulusi in Vryheid, you would then have the new constituted RTT versus the old REC, which would mean two parallel structures of the ANC. If the province of KwaZulu-Natal, the PEC, is disbanded, it would mean you would have a PEC led by Sihlezi Zikalala and Mtumzani Ntuli, and you would have another PEC led by other individuals, which fuels the speculation by many that a new political formation, particularly when you look at what Luna Mangzugai Toby, the provincial secretary of the ANC in the Eastern Cape said, you look at what Zamani Sol in the Northern Cape said, when they said there is an organization within an organization operating at the 6th floor at Luthuli House, led by the suspended Secretary-General Ace Magashule. He then says, many people think the support base that I have has been eroded in the Free State. With Mxolisi Dukwane, his political nimbus, now leading that PTT within that province, with alongside his erstwhile political ally Paseka Nompondo, who switched sides. He then says his ground is still there, asking the people of KwaZulu-Natal to remain focused in saying they will get Nkandla from the commander-in-chief in the form of former President Jacob Zuma, which is essentially saying they as a faction are still commanded by the former president, who still enjoys a significant support of ordinary rank and file within this particular province of KwaZulu-Natal. Then comes the question, which regions can 100% say in this province they are 100% behind the former president? eThekwini region is in tatters. Moses Mabhida, his base, formerly led by Mthandeni Dlungwana, his ally, is in tatters. We saw a person in the form of Mzim Nxumalo, who's contesting to be the regional chair of that region. He was here supporting the former president. Mthandeni Dlungwana and Mzim Zuma have split. They're no longer agreeing with one another. In the Mzala Nxumalo region, you've got Lawrence Dube, who is in that REC or RTT within that particular region. They are the individuals who are responsible for the ANC dissolution in 2015 when the conference sat and they were ultimately dissolved by the High Court in 2017 in Pietermaritzburg. They are leading that particular region. In this region, Musadada region, you cannot 100% say Mdum Shongo was the regional chair and his executive are behind the former president. Lower South Coast, then led by Mzwandile Mkhwanazi. Mzwandile Mkhwanazi is a known proponent of the former president, of President Cyril Ramaphosa. He is one of the commanders of the CR17 faction in this province. You go to Inkosi Pambata region, where Chomosbia, the MEC of Human Settlements, is from. He is firmly behind the Cyril Ramaphosa faction. You go to Emalahleni region, Dr. Ntuthuko Mahlaba, Tunda. They are with Cyril Ramaphosa, the president of the ANC. I've seen certain pictures and certain meetings taking place of those particular individuals. So it then tells you that the political machinations within the governing party, there is an intense battle for the control of the province of KwaZulu-Natal. Mtumisani Ntuli, when he was proposed as the provincial secretary of the province, he was not supported by the RET faction of the ANC. He was proposed by the Ramaphosa faction. Then people said he then switched to the opposite faction of Cyril Ramaphosa. Then tells you that the divisions run deep in the ANC. No province is united and no province can solidly say we are either for this faction or for the other faction.
Interesting analysis indeed there from my colleague Samkele Maseko, unpacking the politics of not only KwaZulu-Natal, also the Free State province as well, where the suspended Secretary-General of the ANC comes from. If he takes to the podium, he often tells his supporters, that's Ace Magashule, that he will never leave the ANC, giving an indication that he's going to do all that he can to fight within the ANC, to remain within the ANC, regardless of where he finds himself. We are still expecting the former president to address members of the media at 6 o'clock. That was the initial time that was put to members of the media. As far as we know, nothing much has changed in terms of that arrangement, but we do anticipate that the former president will actually have a meeting with his legal team, the team that he introduced to his thousands of supporters who had gathered here outside his home in Nkandla. Many of them still, vehemently saying that they will support the former president all the way and they don't see anything wrong in terms of what he did.
Much to Simphiwe, Makhanya, Samkele, Maseko weighing in on what